Gordon Hayward has signed a 4-year, $128 million max contract with the Boston Celtics. And this is a perfect acquisition for the Celtics as it provides them that secondary option to pair alongside Isaiah Thomas. This deal, I believe, is even better for the Celtics than signing either Paul George or Jimmy Butler, because by acquiring Gordon Hayward, they essentially had to give up nothing in return besides cap space. And that cap space, the Boston Celtics would have used either way, as it was reported that if Gordon Hayward hadn't signed with the Boston Celtics, that money would have been spent on Danilo Gallinari, who would have cost anywhere between $20 to $25 million per year. So who would you rather have, Gordon Hayward or Danilo Gallinari? Essentially, they get him a superstar, maybe not a superstar in Gordon Hayward, but a star player for nothing. By trying to acquire Paul George or Jimmy Butler, they would have had to give up some of the trade picks they have, but this deal allows them to keep all those assets they have and maybe make some other potential moves that allows them to move forward. Gordon Hayward, like I said, also provides that secondary option that the Boston Celtics need. Now, Isaiah Thomas was excellent last year, but he is undersized and there is only so far you can go with a player of his caliber and height at that position. Gordon Hayward provides a secondary option that will allow the Boston Celtics to have even a better chance now going against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Gordon Hayward is also a very good defender, which Isaiah Thomas isn't, so it allows him to fit exactly into that mold that Boston wants, to have Isaiah Thomas' defensive liabilities be kind of hidden with other great defenders on the defensive end already in Boston's mold. Now, I'm interested to see moving forward what Boston does with their young group of guys, because Gordon Hayward is defined as a small forward, and over the last 2 drafts, the Boston Celtics have selected with their 3rd picks Jaylen Brown, who was a small forward, and Jason Tatum, who was also a small forward. I understand that these players are versatile and can play a bunch of positions. Except, what are you going to do with these players in a few years? And is it possible for Jaylen to play the 2 and then Jason to play the 4 and them all coexist together? I'm just interested to see how that looks moving forward. Especially even next year when the Celtics have Brooklyn's pick again, and it's probably going to be a top 3 pick again. One of the top prospects is Michael Porter Jr., who is again a small forward / power forward. So how would he even fit into that mold? So Danny Ainge has to make up his mind soon. Are we going to keep these core group of guys together, and can they coexist together? Or should we give up Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum for a superstar player that's either like a power forward or a center that can be combined with Gordon Hayward and Isaiah Thomas? Danilo Gallinari has also been reportedly acquired by the Los Angeles Clippers, and I find this really ironic, as what have we been hearing from the Clippers over the last few years? Oh, they need to sign a small forward. They need a small forward. And it's ironic that once they finally get their small forward that they needed to replace Luc Richard and Mbah a Moute, they replaced him with Danilo Gallinari. It doesn't matter because they've lost Chris Paul and JJ Redick. Now, imagine if they made this move maybe even last year. You have a starting 5 of Chris Paul, JJ Redick, Danilo Gallinari, Blake Griffin, and DeAndre Jordan. That starting 5 sounds a whole lot better than when Luc Richard and Mbah a Moute is in the mix. That Clipper team, if it could stay healthy, would have been instantly the 2nd best team in the NBA. And I believe had a very good chance at challenging the Warriors in the Western Conference and competing for an NBA title. So now, although Danilo Gallinari is a good signing and it keeps the Clippers in the playoff mix, with the losses of Chris Paul and JJ Redick, it won't be enough to make the Western Conference Finals or beat the Warriors. So at the furthest I could see the Clippers going now is making the playoffs. very unlikely they even make it into the second round. Now, another signing is Patrick Patterson. He's agreed to a deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I'm a Toronto Raptors fan. He's been a part of the Toronto Raptors for a few seasons now. He was a part of the trade that turned this organization around when Rudy Gay was traded to the Sacramento Kings for basically John Solomons, Patrick Patterson, and Greivis Vasquez. We thought this trade was just going to be okay, time to rebuild, but it instantly turned us into contenders, and it turned us into the playoff team we are now. Although Patrick Patterson was a huge part of that, as he was the longest out of that trade, he was the longest part of that roster, I'm not too sad to see him go. He's a streaky shooter. Although he provides energy off the bench, he's not that great of a rebounder either, and he had a very poor playoff run, where essentially he was kicked out of the rotation by PJ Tucker. So although I thank Patrick Patterson for helping turn this franchise around, I believe it was the right decision to let him go. Now he joins the Oklahoma City Thunder with Russell Westbrook and Paul George, and this is an important signing for them as they had just lost Taj Gibson to the Minnesota Timberwolves. This provides them another power forward they can place at that position, and it's another stretch forward, which I believe is important because Russell Westbrook last year wasn't surrounded by many shooters. He could drive to the hole, but he couldn't really kick to anyone that could shoot from the perimeter, like Victor Oladipo or Andre Roberson. Now, by acquiring a stretch four, you have Steven Adams inside, who is a very great defender, so you don't have to worry about that. Combining him with Patrick Patterson, it's a perfect fit. And now Russell Westbrook is able to drive and then kick to Patrick Patterson, who can drain those threes on the occasion. So I think that fit works very well with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Although it is reported that since they did acquire Patrick Patterson, they're probably out of the Rudy Gay sweepstakes because they used up that salary. So it looks like they rather acquire that stretch four than possibly risking signing or not signing Rudy Gay. Another under-the-radar signing was Omri Caspi to the Golden State Warriors. Although Omri Caspi doesn't sound like a big name, he's another very capable big man that the Golden State Warriors are able to always seem to replace year in, year out. Last year, Golden State Warriors brought in Zaza Pachulia. They brought in David West pretty recently too, JaVale McGee. And it seems like JaVale McGee is talking to the Los Angeles Clippers this year. So what I find really impressive about the Golden State Warriors is that they're able to keep their core players together, but none of them are big men. So what the Golden State Warriors do is they have to go through a carousel of finding new big men to implement into their system who they can find for cheap because their core four and other important role players are paid so much money. And I believe Omri Caspi is a very underrated player, and he provides that cheap contract that they need while also giving them great value at the position. So I praise the Golden State Warriors GM for able to make such a under the radar move and keep that carousel of big men coming into the Warriors who could contribute to their roster. And this is it for now. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe, and see you guys all tomorrow.